There was a man named Elias who lived in a small, quiet village surrounded by rolling hills and vast forests. To everyone else, he was ordinary, a carpenter who built sturdy furniture and told quiet jokes that made people smile. But Elias carried a secret. Ever since he was a child, he could hear the wind whisper. At first, the voices in the wind were faint, a rustle through the leaves, a hum over the rooftops. But as he grew older, they became clearer. Sometimes the wind spoke of distant lands and storms brewing over the mountains. Other times it brought the laughter of children playing in far-off villages or the sorrow of a lonely traveler wandering the woods. Elias didn't tell anyone about this gift. He wasn't sure they'd believe him, and besides, it felt too precious to share. But he often wondered why he had been chosen to hear the wind's secrets. One autumn evening, as the village prepared for its annual harvest festival, the wind grew restless. Its whispers became urgent, tugging at Elias's ears as he worked on a wooden table in his workshop. "Danger," it murmured. "The river, the dam." Elias stopped his work, his heart pounding. The dam upstream had held the river back for years, providing water for the fields and protecting the village from floods. If it were to break. Without hesitation, Elias ran to the village square. The festival preparations were in full swing, with colorful lanterns being strung up and musicians tuning their instruments. "Everyone listen!" Elias shouted, his voice cutting through the chatter. "The dam is in danger of breaking! We need to evacuate!" The villagers stared at him, confused. Some laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. "Elias, what are you talking about?" asked Mara, the baker's wife. "The dam's been sturdy for years." But Elias persisted. "Please, you have to trust me. The river's rising, and we don't have much time." Just as the crowd began to dismiss him, a low, distant rumble shook the ground. Gasps rippled through the square as everyone turned toward the hills. A torrent of water was rushing down the valley, carrying debris and uprooted trees. Panic erupted, but Elias took charge. "Head to the highlands," he shouted, pointing to the hilltops beyond the village. "Leave everything behind." The villagers scrambled to follow his lead, and Elias stayed behind to ensure no one was left behind. By the time the floodwaters reached the village, everyone was safe on the high ground, watching in stunned silence as the water swept away their homes. When the waters receded days later, the villagers returned to rebuild, grateful that no lives had been lost. They began to see Elias differently, not just as a carpenter, but as someone with wisdom and courage. Elias never explained how he had known about the flood. But as he carved new doors and tables for the village, he listened to the wind with greater care, ready to act whenever it called him again. And from that day on, the villagers knew that if Elias spoke, they would listen, for sometimes, it seemed, the wind itself spoke through him.